Hi everyone, this is Cat Life Philosopher. The goal of this series is to show you the big picture of European history. We'll go from ancient Egypt all the way to the aftermath of World War I. And since I'm to show you the flow of history, I won't go into too much detail. But I hope you could see how the history has shaped today's world. One of the most important aspects to develop a civilization is to have access to fresh water. The word culture initially came from the word cultivation. Thus, the earliest civilization that we see are all near rivers, like the ones located in Mesopotamia and Egypt, which were the civilization that set the tone for European history. Although these civilizations seem so far away from us due to the 7,000 years apart between us and them, the cultivation of wheat started there. That became the primary food source of Europe, and slowly evolved into the bread and beer we love today. Can you imagine a world with no garlic bread? Egypt was located near the river Nile. At first, Egypt were two different kingdoms, the Upper and the Lower Kingdom. At 3100 BC, King Nama or Menes had united the Upper and the Lower Kingdom into a single Egypt. Although King Nama did unite Egypt into a single kingdom, there were times that it split back into the Upper and the Lower Kingdom again after him. But in the end, they always ends up as the ancient Egypt we know today. Just as the start of the romance of Three Kingdoms goes, when the world is united for too long, it will split. Split for too long, it will unite. As the Egyptian influence grew, they were constantly attacked by outside forces. One of the most long-lasting ones is the Hyksos, who conquered the Lower Egypt for more than 100 years. They were finally expelled by the pharaohs Ahmose of Thebes, who laid the foundation of the new kingdom. Under a stable rule, Egypt began to flourish where lots of the temples we see today were built during the New Kingdom era. In 1351 BC, Akhenaten came to power and made the sun god Aten the only god. This is often considered as one of the first civilizations to introduce a monotheistic religion. But during the 13th century BC, Egypt was facing raids constantly by the Hittites and the infamous Sea people that had caused the collapse of the Bronze Age. While Egypt was developing, toward the east, in between the river Tigris and Euphrates, lies Mesopotamia, meaning lands between rivers. It was here that the first Tyrant city took shape. As the region flourished, powerful leaders tried to take control over it. At first, it was the Akkadian Empire. However, the Akkadian Empire couldn't maintain their power and disintegrated. From the ashes of the Akkadian Empire, the Assyrian Empire would rise. Assyria has improved the language, administration, and culture from the Akkadian Empire. They have become more efficiently ruled with a centralized bureaucracy, but at the same time more brutal. They worship the god Ashur. As a Warhammer Fantasy nerd, I have to compare them to the elves, for not only do they share the god's name,
taste the might of the Asa,
but the duality of Assyria also gleams through the high and dark elves. On the one hand, the Assyrian Empire has highly sophisticated knowledge and culture, as they had one of the largest libraries, learning center, art center, and efficient roads at the time. That civilized side portrayed the high elf. But on the other hand, they are also barbaric and use violence to control their puppet kingdoms. That brutality portrayed the dark elf. No other civilization has ever embodied civilized and barbaric contradiction as clearly as the Assyrian Empire. During the height of their power, the Neo-Assyrian Empire has controlled vast territories, from the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the Persian Gulf. But nothing lasts forever. Soon after this period, their capital, Nineveh, was captured by the Medes and the Babylonians in 612 BC. Babylon is also located in Mesopotamia, south of Assyria. It was also influenced by the Akkadian Empire. As the Chinese idiom goes, one mountain could not sustain two tigers. The same goes for the Babylonians and the Assyrians. Although initially Babylon was often dominated by the Assyrians, we know from the end of the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian emerged victorious. Why was the Assyrian Empire able to dominate over the Babylonian initially? That was due to the Babylonians' lack of focus in the military compared to the Assyrian empires. Although we don't hear Babylon much these days, their knowledge in law, mathematics, and astronomy has paved the way for the ancient Greeks to advance on. At the same time, the Babylonian also indirectly accelerated one of the most influential books for mankind, the Hebrew Bible. The way we construct time into 24 hours, 60 minutes, and 60 seconds, the use of the base 60s, and the 360-degree angle wouldn't have existed without the Babylonians. We often see in the tablets one of the earliest ideas for the Pythagorean theorem. But since this is about history, I refrain myself and maybe geek out about their mathematics in the future. During 1792 BC to 1750 BC, the king Hammurabi of Babylon has compiled a set of laws that has influenced most civilization after it. It was a set of laws that has prevented the strong oppressing the weak and specified the punishment to suit the crime. The idea of an eye for an eye or lex talionis from the Bible was all taken from here. During the reign of Nabopolassar, the Babylonians together with the Medes fought against the Assyrians. They conquered the Assyrian Empire's capital in 612 BC. Finally, the Babylonians could reign supreme over Mesopotamia. Nabopolassar's son, Nebuchadnezzar II, his dream was central in the book of Daniel. They call him the Meccan in the Bible, as he has captured Judah and held the priests of Israel captive. The Meccan has instilled fear in the priests that their religion might die with them, thus accelerated them to write down and codify the Hebrew Bible. That became the basis for some of the greatest religions that exist today, such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. The Babylonians did not hold on to their great power for long. Although they tried to expand their border westward, they were faced with severe pushback. Slowly, people in Babylonia were getting tired of their king. Just like lex talionis, the punishment finally reached the Babylonian Empire in 539 BC, as Cyrus of Persia marched into the capital, just like the Babylonian did to the Assyrian Empire. I mentioned the collapse of the Bronze Age during the end of Egypt, but never went into detail. Egypt was the only civilization I talk about that was severely weakened by the events, and slowly Egypt would be occupied by foreign forces. But Egypt was lucky compared to the Hittites and the Mycenaeans, who I didn't talk about because they collapsed. The collapse was caused by the infamous Sea People's raids, but historians could not agree on where they came from. But they come to consensus. First, not calling the Sea People seamen. Second, the seamen couldn't be the sole reason for the collapse. Third, the climate change at the time had caused droughts and famine. From there, like a domino effect, the economic and political structure crumbled down. After the collapse, we shifted toward the use of iron, since most bronze trade routes were located in Hittites and Mycenaean territories. As they collapsed, the trading of bronze also collapsed. Thus, the civilization survived the event, slowly transitioned toward the use of iron. I remember learning about metal properties in my chemistry class. I asked my teacher, if bronze was more durable and harder than iron, why did the Iron Age come after the Bronze Age? She told me because bronze was more brittle. But now I understand it wasn't that bronze was more brittle, but rather the lack of supply in bronze caused the surge of demands in iron. Cyrus of Persia, like Alexander the Great after him, expanded his territory quickly in just 20 years. Cyrus has conquered the Median Empire, the Kingdom of Lydia, and as we saw, the Babylonian Empire as well. However, unlike Alexander, Persia maintained control over its vast territory after Cyrus' death. Unlike most civilizations that expanded quickly, why didn't Persia collapse immediately? Thus spoke Zarathustra that God is dead. Sorry, that was Nietzsche's. The real Zarathustra talked about cosmic force that would soon become Persia's religion, Zoroastrianism. Unlike civilizations that use religion as ruling tools, Persia didn't force conversion in their territories. They let their citizens practice their faith freely. At the same time, they quickly adapt to foreign customs that help them integrate with the locals. As the Persian Empire stabilized, they expanded into Egypt. In 522 BC, Darius I ascended to power. He spent the next 6 years improving the Persian Empire by several reforms. First, monetary reform. Second, he unified the administrative language. Third, he reorganized provinces under governors. Finally, he improved the transportation by building roads and canals. After 6 years of sharpening the Persian Empire, Darius I has finally decided to use it. He started his military campaign in 516 BC. In 3 years' time, not only did he expand into the Indus Valley, but his western border also stretched to Macedonia, knocking on Greece's door. As the Persian controlled the largest empire known at the time, its threats united its enemy. As Darius I tried to break down the door to Greece, Ardeans called for help. The two armies soon clashed in Marathon, where Darius faced his first defeat. Although Darius I planned for another Greek invasion, his failing health did not allow him to see the fruition of his plan. As he passed away, the task to vindicate his humiliation lay in the hands of his son, Xerxes. Greeks, sensing the threats on the horizon, began preparing. Soon, Xerxes would face a far more united Greece. This is the end of the Part 1 Big Picture European History. I hope you did learn from it, and since this is my first time making a video, if you got any feedback, please let me know. I'll just mumble upon these map transitions, since to explain a lot of the civilization, I actually slow down the time transition. So through this map, you might actually see how quickly certain civilization expanded. And I think a lot of you might also wonder why I only show civilization from Middle East and Africa even though this is a big picture European history. I think just a lot of civilization are interconnected even though we might not realize, such as Egypt, they are hieroglyphs that influenced the Phoenician, and the Phoenicians slowly introduced their writing system to the Greek that introduced the Greek alphabet, and to the Roman that gave them the idea for the Latin alphabets that become the basis for a lot of the language of today's world. One thing that I do find interesting is I always thought the Romans' Latin came from the Greek alphabets, but now I realize it was the Phoenician actually inspired them both separately. Well, there's also a lot of things that I wish I could improve from the beginning, such as my animations and my writing from the beginning. Like what I just mentioned, I would have written it in the Egypt parts if I had thought about it, but I just decided to write it because as a perfectionist, I decided to just do it, you know? Working through this project also helped me learn a lot, like pronouncing a lot of people's names such as Nebuchadnezzar. I always pronounce it as Nebuchadnezzar in my mind until I went and searched how to pronounce his name. I have to practice so much. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel and I will try my best to work on the part 2. See you next time. Bye.